When setting up our payroll, we always have to account for the deductions and the additions that come into play. These include items such as our retirement benefits, garnishments such as child support, and out-of-pocket expenses from our employees. In this movie, we'd like to talk about how to set up the addition and the deduction, and we want to see how it is going to appear on a paycheck. Let's start by actually looking at the paycheck, and then we'll go back and discuss the payroll item setup. I'm going to go to the employee menu and down to our pay employee screen. Of course, we're in the payroll information screen, and I'm going to select Rafa for our example. Rafa is in shipping and receiving and has worked 40 hours for this pay period. Now normally I could continue entering all of my hours in, but I'd like to look at Rafa's check. So in this particular case, I'm going to open the paycheck detail. In the paycheck detail, you'll notice items have appeared for our 401k. They include the employee section and the company match. On the bottom in our company summary, you'll notice this is the match by the company, and here is the deduction for the employee. The calculations are automatic within QuickBooks. Once I set up the actual 401k addition and deduction, I don't have to worry about it. It goes through automatic. I can even set up the limits so that once we get to a certain point, the deduction will stop. Let's now go back. Let's look at those payroll items and see how they were established. I'm going to close out of our payroll, go up to lists, and now down to our payroll item list. Here you will notice that I have a 401k employee deduction and 401k company match, that is a company contribution. To set those up, I've gone to payroll, to a new item, and in this particular case, I'm going to leave it on the easy setup. When I'm on the easy setup, you'll notice it immediately takes me to retirement benefits, and I can go to the next screen. QuickBooks will automatically go to the payroll setup and bring us to the retirement benefit screen. The first thing I'm asked is, what type of benefit program do you have? Most of us will use 401k. In some cases you'll see an IRA, and in some cases, especially when you're working with the schools, you'll see a 403b. Most commonly though, you will see a 401k. We'll go to our next screen, and here you'll notice that I can immediately set up the payee. I'm going to use our 401k administrator as this payee. I can then put in my account information, and if I have a schedule that I'd like to set up, I can actually set up the payment schedule at this time. I'm preferring not to. I'm going to do it manually. So I'll go to the next screen. You'll notice now it tells me that I'm finishing up, and when I hit the finish button, it's calculating the information. Here you'll see I now have 2 occurrences of the 401k for the employee and 2 occurrences of the employee match. The difference, though, you'll notice, is that the percentages have not been set up. I must go back in and actually edit the account to set up the percentage so it calculates automatically. In this case, I'll now go to the next screen. It identifies who it's being paid to, the liability account, and the expense account where it will be set to, and then I can go to the next screen. There is no tax tracking involved, so I'll once again go to the next screen. I'm going to go along with the defaults for my taxes. I am not going to base the calculation on quantity, but I would like to put in my percentage. We'll say that our percentage is 3% for our 401k, and we're finished. You'll notice now that the percentage of the contribution is set in the payroll item. I would repeat those same steps for the 401k. Now let's close out. Let's go into our Employee Center, and let's go to our employee account. When I edit Rafa, I'm going to choose to go directly to Payroll and Compensation. You will notice on the bottom of the screen I've set up the employee match, which is a negative deduction. This is the amount that is going to come out of the employee's paycheck. And I've set up the company match, which is the amount that the company is going to add to the salary. With those steps done, my 401k is complete. When I go back to lists and go back down to my payroll item list, you will note that there are a number of deductions that can be established. Each of these will be established the same way. First, I'll add a new payroll item within my payroll item structure. Second, I will go to my employee, and within my employee account, under the payroll and compensation, I will add the additions and deductions. Finally, I'll just choose them on the paycheck. You'll note that I can keep adding all of my additions and deductions at one time. If there's mileage reimbursement, I can place it right next to the area for my 401k. In the example of a mileage reimbursement, I would go in and actually put in the amount per mile that I'm going to give to the employee. Again, when I say OK, and I go to the payroll center to pay the employee, we'll choose Rafa one last time. When I open the payroll detail, each of those items will appear. Of course, you can delete them at this point or add additionals. Remember, anything in the employee file is a default, but you can always add items to an individual paycheck.